Welcome back, my friends. It's Dr. Schiller. This is part B of a long video that's talking about the complexity of chronic pain and chronic illness, and really discussing an overview of the three-part healing process of addressing your mind-body system, your metabolic biochemical system, as well as your movement and structural system, as three essential aspects of really taking a big picture holistic view. And that's where the therapeutic leverage is in the integrative approach. Because by and large, conventional medicine is looking at all these different problems as separate things, as opposed to understanding the big picture and realizing that the various symptoms are flowing out of similar underlying physiologic abnormalities or imbalances, and that you can address those imbalances. And so this is really, these two parts are the first part of how to really heal. And in part A of this one, we talked about kind of the scientific underpinnings of mind-body medicine and why it's so important, not only why your mind-body connection is so important in the development of chronic pain and chronic illness, and why it's so important in actually transforming and healing chronic pain and chronic illness. And what we're going to do in this video right now is get kind of an overview of the landscape of mind-body healing and understand some of the different elements and understand the rationale about why you do it. And to get a bit of insight on some of the things that people miss when they're first learning meditation or visual imagery or other sort of mind-body approaches, and how to really take a big picture view so that you not only enhance your comfort, but you transform the illness process in your body, in your mind, and in the integration of mind and body. So I hope it's informative and inspiring and interesting, and here we go. All right. I want to take this question of relaxation, mindfulness, imagery, and therapy, and how it impacts your mind-body state, your state of consciousness, and just review for a second the ways that it can impact your health and have a huge impact on how you're feeling. And we've talked about this, about how pain pathways are altered, how brain function can be altered, how the immune function can be changed for better, how, we didn't talk so much about this yet, but energy production by your cells. Your state of consciousness is what determines how you do in life, with the people you care about, with the person at the bank, with the police officer who pulls you over for speeding, with all the things that we need to deal with in the world, in our roles, in our functioning. If I'm in a place of calm and clarity, where I'm present to my own self, I'm present to other people, then all of that stuff goes better. And I can tell you that from my own experience. I was like an anxious, weird, introverted kid when I was a kid who didn't know how to pay attention to myself or other people. And I was kind of a dork. Like, it's just what it was. I was not a smooth person. A lot of people didn't like me. I had a lot of challenges interpersonally, and I had a lot of challenges in various aspects of what I was doing in life. And when I learned to get quiet and calm and actually start to live from a deeper place in my own being, and start live with more empathy for myself and more for other people, my life changed profoundly. And guess what? My relationships aren't as stressful. My relationships tend to be harmonious and positive. And I'm not saying that to say I'm so great. I'm saying that to say that anyone can do this. And so many of the people that I've trained, that other people who've trained, people who have learned to actually find a state of calm in themselves, learn how to navigate through the world, to flow with the challenges, when the wave comes, to ride it like a skilled surfer or dive underneath it, because of awareness, because of skill and self-management. Motivation and self-care. It starts with you. It starts in your heart. It starts in your soul. Are you eating stuff that's actually good for you? Or are you eating stuff that feels good in the moment because you've got a lot of stress and emotional angst, and you're eating sugar and baked goods and saturated fats, which taste so good? There's a reason they call it comfort food. But the fact is, it destroys your body. It feeds into and poisons so many of your systems. And the same thing about alcohol and other substances. And on the flip side, exercise, self-care, whether it's going for a walk, doing something pleasant that feels good, doing exercise that feels good. These are things that actually shift your physiology for the better. And they can actually have a huge impact on your health. And that starts with where you're at. What's your state of relationship with yourself and the world? And we talked a bit about gut barrier motility. Okay. So all of this is obviously connected. You are one unity. I want to step back and think a bit more about the science again. And you basically have 3 functional areas of your brain, right? You've got neocortex, that's the thinking part of your brain. You've got your limbic brain, is your emotional brain, your arousal brain. Your stress response happens here. All of your emotions and all of your sensory stuff is processed here. And then you got your reptilian brain, core biological functions like blood pressure, heart rate, influences on immune function, gastrointestinal motility and function. And so when these things were first started to be evaluated, they used to think, oh yeah, these are strictly anatomically distinct areas. And that turns out to not be true. That there's processing that goes on at these 3 levels. And there are different aspects of how you process reality, but they're functions. They're not anatomically distinct. And if you look up the triune brain, Triune, you'll see this like progression of the science over the past, I think, 40 or 50 years, how initially they thought it was anatomic and evolutionary and like embryonic. But the fact is there's so much interconnection. It's all one brain. But you do have these different kinds of function. And to the extent that you're aware that you've got an intellectual, rational processing brain, as well as an emotional reactive brain, as well as a biological embodied physiologic brain, you can better understand how your mind-body connection influences your health, because it influences all 3 levels. So let's unpack that a little bit, okay? Because this is one of the places where people frequently fall down. I do a lot of training for people in mind-body therapies and healing. A lot of people come to me, Dr. Schiller, I've been doing all this meditation. It's great. I go to this deep, relaxed state. I feel so good. I don't have pain when I'm there. But then I come back and my pain comes back, or whatever other symptom. And, my sense of what's going on is they're getting some degree of limbic quieting there, and they're getting some mental, emotional quieting there. But they're not really getting that quiet into their body. And they're not necessarily healing what their body is holding on to in terms of self-protective responses. And a lot of times that person who's doing those meditations where they go up and out, they go into some sort of expanded God space or some sort of spiritual, energetic, expansive space. But then when they come back into their body, they're the same old person. And so they have their pain, they have their interpersonal conflicts, they get really angry with their kids or their spouse, or they can't function on their job because they hate their boss. It's because they're sort of dissociating in a certain way. And it's great to achieve that level of calm, but it's really important to bring that calm into the body and allow it to start to change you and shift your instinctual, reactive patterns that come out of your heart and your embodied consciousness and memory. The way I understand it, after practicing for 20 years and studying all this science, is that a fundamental question that your whole body is asking all the time, whether it's your cortical mental thinking, your emotional processing, or even your physiology, is, are you safe or are you in danger? And that's a huge thing, because on a physiologic level, well, let me just unpack this, but like, here are things that make us feel not safe. Things that make us feel like we might be in danger or we're at risk of something bad happening. Things like life stress, pain, trauma. Pain goes into every aspect of your mental, emotional, physiologic functioning. Immune dysfunction and inflammation does as well. Toxins and drugs influence everything. Acute illness, surgery, or being in the midst of a pandemic influences every aspect and creates a danger signal. Your entire being is a danger detector. If a human being is not aware of danger, then you're at risk of actually getting hurt or killed. Think about primordial human who's out there in the jungle looking for mangoes. And he's looking for mangoes, and he's so into mangoes, he's not even thinking about the tigers that he knows lives in the jungle, because he sees the mangoes. Really, there's a tiger hanging out there. If he doesn't see the tiger, he's going to get eaten. If he's focused on the tiger and he misses the mangoes, he can go looking for mangoes tomorrow, but he won't get eaten. hopefully, if he knows how to defend himself from a tiger. But the point is that we naturally have a bias towards danger and negativity because it's protective. And we have protective responses that are built into our neuromuscular system, right? You touch a hot stove, you have a reflex that withdraws your hand. You don't even have to think about it. You have reflexes throughout your body at every level of your spine in terms of your neuromuscular system. And you've got protective responses in your cells, in your immune system. Your immune system in general is a protective response. It's there to stand at the gate and say, friend or foe, and to keep the bad guys out and let the good guys in. And so the danger detector is in the level of our consciousness, which I'll spell right correctly later. It's in our immune system, it's our structural system, and it's our biochemical system. And we have cellular protective responses. This is kind of a new thing that's showing up in biology and metabolomics, which is kind of the study of broader cells in the context of all cells. It's a systems biology approach. And more we're seeing that there are these protective responses on a cellular level, that cells seem to be able to shut down in response to danger. And they shut down their energy production. They can shut down communication with other cells. They can create a state of hypervigilance and immune activation. They reduce their actual production of DNA and cellular reproduction. So on an actual cellular level, your body can start to shut down when you have persistent danger that it's exposed to, whether it's through your consciousness and your understanding of something dangerous in the world, whether it's immune activation, whether it's structural trauma or something that's happening physically to you, or whether it's biochemical trauma, biochemical changes that are dangerous to your body. We're starting to see that the immune system has these sort of cellular and protein patterns that are called basically danger detector, damage associated patterns. I don't want to go too much into that detail because it'll freak people out, but the point is, on a cellular immune level, we're wired for danger, and that protective response becomes part of what's dangerous to us. And the protective mode that develops is probably part of what maintains chronic illness, whether it's psychological protection or limbic emotional protection or physiologic cellular detection. Just going back to that brain dry diagram where there's like the stuff you're conscious of and thinking about. And then there's the stuff that emotionally you're just reacting to, whether you're aware of it or not aware of it. Then the stuff that your biology is reacting to, and most of us are just not aware of that at all. And so healing depends on bringing this whole system a sense of safety and a sense of calm and a sense of, hey, it's okay to be me, right? The protective mode's the problem. And what I encourage my patients to do and what I encourage you to do is learn to bathe your body and your mind in the biochemistry of healing. And there's a number of steps to that. And the typical mind-body interventions of relaxation and mindfulness and visual imagery and therapy are part of it. But it's a deeper, more comprehensive thing than we've learned how to measure. But it's an experience that many people can have. And when you have it, you know it. You know what it's like to be bathed in a sense of, oh, wow, it's okay to be me right now. You feel it in your body, you feel it in your bones, you feel it in your heart, and you know it in your mind. And the question is, and the incentive is, and the imperative is to learn how to cultivate that state of being and to learn how to get back into it whenever you need to. And to learn to make it part of your lifestyle if you have a chronic illness or chronic pain, so that you're bathing your body in the biochemistry of healing, that you're giving a signal to the protective responses in your intellect, your emotions, and your physiology to say, it's okay, we can get back to life. And that's how we get back to life. Calm, safety, connection. Connection is huge, right? Connection is huge. Connection is what it's about. Positive emotion. Turning off the danger response. So I've come up with what I call 6 steps of mind-body healing. I'm not going to go into the details of this right now, but I want to give the overview of it. And I'll talk about it again at another time if people are interested. But the 6 steps are relaxation, mindfulness, body awareness, and then inner insight. as well as developing heart and soul power and transformation. Do I have more slides? It's all about turning off the danger response. Let me just unpack these a little bit for a second. Relaxation is relaxation. That's the physiology that we've measured. Herb Benson in the 70s started measuring the relaxation response. And all this stuff is being built on his research. And it's amazing what he did. He was a cardiologist at Harvard Medical School. The relaxation response is a physiologic, low metabolic state that enables your body to start healing. Mindfulness is a state of mind. Mindfulness is a way of paying attention on purpose in a particular way to your present moment experience, to your thoughts, your emotions, your bodily sensations, and if you're inclined that way, to your spiritual sense. And it's a way of learning to see what's really going on in your life, learning to see how your own mind-body connection is operating so you can make better choices of it. Body awareness is actually just what it says, being aware of your body. Most of us are walking around like we're connected, disconnected from our neck up. We're busy going, doing. We think about our body when it starts to scream at us with some sort of symptom. But body awareness, by bringing your attention to your entire body and feeling it and bringing it a calm state of mind, is profoundly healing. That can be done by sitting or lying down meditation. It can be done by simple movement arts like Tai Chi and yoga, Feldenkrais. Pilates has a lot of body awareness. There's various other approaches that can be done with tremendous body awareness, and they're tremendously healing. It's about inhabiting the body. It's about bringing your mind and your soul into your body with consciousness. Insight, inner map. Insight is part of what comes out of mindfulness, and it comes out of body awareness. And insight comes from relating to your own being with awareness and compassion. Most of us are so full of judgment and self-doubt and self-hatred. And it happens because we get those messages at an early stage in life. It can happen because you're sick and because your body's not working like it should, or your mind's not working like it should. And it's very easy to say, I hate myself. I hate what I've become. I hate the fact that I can't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And what's the I? And what's the self? What I want to suggest from a Torah and Kabbalistic point of view is that you have an I, which is your higher soul. It's a deep intelligence that is not limited to your body. And when you start to reframe I hate myself into connecting with your deeper I, your deeper self-awareness, the place of deep self-acceptance, where you actually see what's causing things and you have compassion on yourself, and it's something you develop over time, and you see the aspects of what's not right in life. And from that place, you're so much more empowered to actually make positive changes. Because if you're relating to all the challenging things with self-hatred and self-doubt and self-blame, then you're creating and feeding into that stress axis. You're feeding into that anxiety, depression, misery axis. And when you connect to a deeper level of yourself that's insightful and aware, what you start to do is actually see where you can intervene in an intelligent and compassionate way in your own reality to make positive choices. The next one here is heart and soul power. It's about and that means waking up love. It means waking up compassion, and it means waking up higher insight. These are really hard things to measure, but they're not hard things to feel if you feel it. Part of what we do in the meditation training I do is we awaken heart energy. And awakening heart energy is something that's been done in every spiritual tradition through all of human history until ours. It's starting to happen ours through apps and things people do in hospitals. But the point is that you can develop the energy of love in your heart. And your heart is not just a pump. Your heart is a system of nerves and endocrine function, as well as the pump that pumps your blood. But it's profoundly integrated with your brain. And your heart influences your brain, and it influences your entire nervous system. And I can guarantee you that as you generate the heart energy of loving kindness and compassion, it will begin to shift your physiology, shift your emotions, and shift your thinking process about yourself and your world, and for the better. And the last thing is transformation. And transformation happens when we take our embodied physiologic responses, and our emotional reactivity, and we start to draw our higher faculties of heart and soul into those places. And that's profoundly transformative and beautiful. So obviously all this needs to be unpacked. A lot of it is experiential, and talking about it doesn't give it to you. But talking about it can give you a sense that it exists. And what I hope that talking about it will do is encourage you and empower you to start looking for how you can develop relaxation and mindfulness, and how you can develop body awareness and compassion and insight, and develop the powers of your heart and soul to heal yourself and to transform the pain and the suffering that you're living in. So I want to close with just sort of an observation that kind of sums a lot of this up. Somebody I know recently said, he was like, it's great that science is finally seeing all the connections between these different things. We were talking about integrative medicine. Yeah, the connections between your heart and your mind and your gut and your immune system. Science is starting to see the connections. And I agree with him. It's cool. Science is seeing the connections. But my sense is that reality is different than what science understands. Science is powerful. I am a scientist. I studied scientific method. I really believe in science, but we have to know that science is limited. Science is like a light that we shine on reality, and we learn specific things about reality based on the scientific tools that we have for measurement and for analyzing the data that we get. And it doesn't enable us to understand all of reality. And for sure, it doesn't enable us to understand the complexity, integration of a human being, and especially human beings in relation to other human beings in society. It's just too big and too complex, and science isn't there yet. And I would take this idea that science is finally finding all the connections and turn it upside down, and saying that science is starting to discover the fallacy of the idea that there's disconnection. Because if I'm starting to see connections, well, that suggests to me that, you know what? My heart and my gut are different things. And my heart and my immune system and my brain and my immune system are different things. And on a certain level they are. But you start as one drop of water, and you become 2. You become 4 and 8, 16, 32, 3 trillion cells. And the fact is, the amount of connectivity starts when you're one cell, where everything's connected to everything else. And as you develop, everything stays connected. It's not like it's disconnected. You know, for sure, your heart has a different function than your digestive tract, but those functions are so profoundly interconnected. And one of what I suggest and invite people to move towards as they're starting to dive into and learn and practice mind-body self-healing is to experience their integration, experience their connection, experience that life has a unity to it, that you have a unity to it. If this is abstract and seems kind of weird to you, that's okay. You don't have to believe it. My suggestion is just start. Start to develop relaxation and calm. Start to develop mindfulness. Start to develop body awareness and compassionate awareness and insight. Start to develop the power of your heart to transform your body, and start to live. So there's lots of ways to learn these things. I'm going to keep talking about these things in other videos. Please feel free to share this with other people, and thanks a lot for watching.